Welcome to What in the Smut podcast.
Where the books are horny and so are we. I'm Elle.
And I'm Kay. So do we have anything good going on in the Smutverse this week? No.
Well, okay. We'll start with the good news that's been going around. That
Okay.
Michael B. Jordan is going to be producing the Fourth Wing TV show.
I mean, I knew that I loved him, but
Yes.
I love him even more now that I know that he's a romantasy girly.
I know. And I've seen multiple posts of him being like, we want to do this IP right. We want to live up to the expectations of the fans. So I have high hopes for the adaptation.
That is one
You just
man.
want him to star in it.
That's also true. Yes. Yeah. But I can appreciate him for his talent as well as his looks. So
That's so fair.
it just makes him a much more well-rounded individual.
Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. We love you. Unfortunately, the rest of the Smutverse is not nearly as uplifting. A reader posted this week that she would not be finishing Legendborn by Tracy Deonn because she simply couldn't take the racism card.
Let me guess. She was white?
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Quote, the main character constantly talks about how these white people want to own her. And in my personal opinion, that's just the arrogance of an author who was born colored.
Yikes.
Slavery is a horrible concept, but we haven't owned slaves or thought that we were better than them in years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The contradiction just in that sentence is wild. Oh my. Okay. Continue.
So I, like many others on the internet, was enraged, taken aback,
Yep.
concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I was heartened to see that Legendborn sales ticked up in response to this. But this right here is why you have to diversify your reading, and not just during Black History Month, although
Yeah.
it is absurdly coincidental that we're in the middle of it talking about this. This right here is why we see news stories of children being taken from their homes and U.S. citizens being murdered by the law enforcement officers who were supposed to protect them.
Mhm.
Because there are people who do think they are better. There are people who are actively trying to build a white nation out of the United States. And too many people like this see their efforts to do so and think they couldn't possibly be motivated by racism. These people think racism is a thing of the past, immortalized in black and white photos of civil rights marches. They dismiss present-day concerns as inflammatory and alarmist and the playing of a race card. And they actively ignore the reality of the people around them. Empathy is what makes us human. Experiencing the perspectives of those different from you can only make you a better human. But you have to open yourself up to the uncomfortable fact that your existence is privileged, white people. It's time to educate yourself. So start reading.
I have to say, I was thinking about this a lot while we were reading this book because I personally can do better at diversifying my own reading. And I think that some of that is just what's fed to me by the media. And some of that is like I'm reading and I'm taking in what's easily accessible for me without having to do a lot of research. And that's a me problem that I know I need to work harder at doing some of that myself, because the only way we can become better humans is to see more perspectives of other people's stories. And I think that that's a really important thing now more than ever, even if it is just a smutty little romance book.
Yeah.
It still is somebody else's perspective on something. So I'm also outraged at this and sadly not as surprised as I would like to be.
Yeah, agreed. Now, experiencing the perspective of our main character this week was exceptionally fun and even a little educational. Okay.
So this week we read Surrender by Rilzy Adams, and the synopsis says, in 12 years, unless we're with other people, I'll fly you somewhere and you'll give me 2 nights. The pact was so ridiculous. Yara forgot about it soon after it was made. What were the odds she and Lennox would still be single in 12 years? What were the odds they'd still have the hots for each other? Practically zero, right? Until they weren't. Yara is tempted to decline when Lennox emails her plane tickets and a reminder she promised him 2 nights for the full exploration of her body, but her curiosity gets the best of her. What follows is more than either of them could ever bargain for, and Yara learns that sometimes the key to indescribable pleasure is to surrender. Damn. I mean, we'll talk about it, but I love a pact.
Oh, yeah.
I love a pact story. So
Yes.
I am quite excited to talk about this one.
It's excellent. Where would you put this one on our smut scale?
I think this is a 3.
Go ahead. Tell me why.
Is a discovery of some rarer kinks, a little bondage, a little pain play.
Mhm.
But it is all very consensual throughout the entire storyline. There is a lot of aftercare and checking in, which I liked and appreciated. So
Yep.
yeah, I think this one is a pretty solid 3. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's on the low end of 3 because
Yeah.
it is very much an intro to those rarer kinks. And I wouldn't say like we spent a whole lot of time on it, but balancing that with the fact that like there was so little plot and it was all sex. I
Yep.
think calling it a 3 it captures the vibes correctly.
I agree. So I did like in here, there wasn't any like list of trigger warnings,
No, there was not.
but it does say that it contains explicit language, vivid descriptions of sex, and light BDSM. And I mean, it's light, but
It is light.
there is a little dedication that says, "Don't let my mama see this."
Yeah, I
Cracked me
felt
up.
that in my soul. We've talked about how I don't want my mama to see this podcast. And this is going to be one of those episodes that I don't want her to hear.
Oh, yes. I can't wait to have those conversations. There are definitely some things that your mom is not going to want to hear, and I can't wait for us to talk about it. So this had a 4.4 on Amazon. There were about 1,500 ratings on Amazon. So
Yeah, it was pretty highly reviewed.
Yeah, a 3.9 on Goodreads. So a 5-star on Amazon says vacation sex. I'm not sure how Rilzy gives us a full story arc in such a short amount of time. Ma'am, we get a 14-year span and 75 pages. Lennox and Yara have a history, ease with each other, so the 2-day weekend of sex seems like a good plan. There's light dom play, and I think coupled with the sexy location and praise made it even steamier. Girl, this was good and worth the 1 click. Heat level scorching. And a 3-star says hot, steamy, sexy. Wish the story was complete. I enjoyed the foreplay and the afterplay with these two. Was hoping for more of the sexual adventures. It did abruptly end.
It did abruptly end. That's true. We can talk about it because like I was left a little unsatisfied because this was erotica.
Yep.
Not necessarily a full-blown romance.
But it had the inklings of a romance. Like it could have been
know,
a really good full-blown romance.
Yes, and that's why it kind of just like left me a little emotionally unsatisfied.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like the end was very much like, oh, well, we'll just continue having sex whenever and wherever we can. And I'm like, but what about all the history that you have? And what about all the conversations? And like, tell me that you guys are in love. I just can't. But enough about me. A 4-star on Goodreads says, it's about a sex vacation and the hero is a certified freak. We love to see it. Quick and dirty, smutty fun. Highly recommended. Oh my God. Okay. This is funny.
Yep.
A 1-star finally on Goodreads says, the safe word was potato and he called her mama.
It made me laugh, so I had to pull it.
I mean, they make a compelling argument, but oh, wow.
So, as always, if you want to give Rilzy Adams her page reads on this one, I believe it is on Kindle Unlimited, and we'll have the link for it in our show notes. There will be spoilers. This was a 66-pager, so I'm sure we'll still have a lot to say about it, as we always do, but this won't be as long an episode as some of our past episodes have been.
What are you talking about? We didn't just release a 3-hour episode like 2
I
weeks
know.
ago or anything.
Weird. So, if you're ready, let's get
Let's
into
get
it.
into it. Yes. So we start with Yara staring at her computer and we have her looking at, I think it's an email,
Yeah.
which I loved. These first couple of pages were very well done to establish their relationship.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about novellas and like short stories and how hard it is to get a full picture in so little text. It does such a good job. It starts with, "You owe me 2 nights." Yara stared at her computer even though 5 seconds wouldn't change the words flashing on the screen. And she starts laughing. And then she thinks, Lennox fucking Wilson. Then we get a brief introduction into how it's been 12 years. And it took her a hot minute to remember what those 5 words were referring to in the first place. Lennox was talking about the ridiculous pact they made nearly 12 years ago, half drunk on tequila, rum, and wine, and filled with the disappointment of a night that could have been.
It kind of sounds like they were more than half drunk
Oh,
because
yeah.
that night ended up with either one or both of them throwing up because they were so drunk
Yeah.
or because of the mix of alcohols.
Yes.
So we do get that they had been roommates. They had 3 other roommates. 5 of them lived in a house together near Georgetown. And there were 3 women and 2 men that lived in the house together. Their other 3 roommates had already left to go home. And she was leaving the next morning. He was doing an internship, so he's going to finish out their lease. And they decide that despite the fact that they have early flights, or she has an early flight in the morning, they're going to go out, which, I mean, end of college, we've all made that mistake.
Oh, yeah. Literally. Yes.
Well, I mean, into our
spoke to me.
20s, we've probably made those mistakes. Not so much now. I can't be hungover for a flight the next morning, but
No, I won't make it.
So we get a description of
Lennox?
both of their male roommates. So
Oh, yeah, true.
Richmond was built like he would show a woman the kind of time she'd spend the rest of her life trying to recover from. Like the way that that description is perfect because you're like, I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And he was about 280 pounds of pure muscle, short locks, smooth dark skin, and a smile that revealed the sweetheart he was. He was just Yara's type, but living with him never presented any issues because despite him being perfect for her on paper, she just didn't look at him that way. Lennox was different. So we get the information that Lennox and Yara kind of had feelings for each other that neither of them acted on. They were roommates, and they kind of just let it.
They were roommates. Sorry.
I also love that trope.
I do. It's so good. Lennox was different. A small zing of awareness always shot through her whenever she looked at him. He was tall and lean, probably not even topping 220 pounds. But whenever the argument about a fight between him and Richmond came up, everybody always put their bets on Lennox. Light brown eyes, honeyed brown skin.
So she asks him if there was anyone any of their roommates that, well, she says, you ever thought about fucking any of us?
Yeah.
I mean, bets are off. They're all moving out. So,
right.
Like,
their time living together is over. They're drunk. They're both going their separate ways in the morning. It so perfectly captures what I think maybe I speak for myself only, but like there's a romance of like having nothing left to lose and getting to say it.
Yep.
And like, I think this perfectly captures that feeling of like feeling untethered and dangerous and like, yeah, I'm going to say the things I've been thinking and to hell with the consequences because like this is our last night kind of vibes.
Yes. But also it's a little devastating because he does say that like basically it was her that he always had thought about.
Yeah.
And then Her body reminded her mixing rum, tequila, and wine was never going to end well. She scrambled to the bathroom to empty her stomach, and the mood was rigor mortis dead by the time she returned. The moment had passed. Now, this is funny because it's like a little devastating that like they just confessed that they both basically like had been into each other for all of these years, and then
nothing was going to happen.
So it's like,
well, it gets even worse too, because like, so he takes her to the airport, which like, this is such a good friend. He didn't have to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, he could have fucking slept. He's staying in DC. Like, but
although this was prior to like Uber or Lyft, I think.
Oh, this is true. Yeah. This would have been when we were in college. So unless she had a taxi driver.
Right.
On
she would have
speed
needed
dial.
to get a taxi or take the subway
No, you're so right.
or a bus or whatever. So, like, he's a good friend, but it's also things were not quite as readily available as they are now.
God, what an era. I forgot that we did all that shit without ways of getting home.
Yeah. Like, or
what the fuck were we doing, man?
Also, without like, we were staying out and all of the subways or trains are closed.
Yeah. So he does take her to the airport, and Yara is kind of sitting with the assumption that this is the end of it. He didn't say anything until they were at the airport while he walked her to security. Pick a number between 1 and 20. And he will later regret having given her such a wide range.
Right? Although it worked because
it did.
This wouldn't have happened if she didn't pick that number.
That's true. Everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so she picks 12. And then he says, pick a number between 1 and 7. And she says 2. And he pulls her into a hug and says, 12 years from this date, I propose we get together and explore what could have happened earlier this morning. And she laughs and says, that's ridiculous. And he continues as if he hadn't heard her and says, 2 nights in 12 years. Unless we're with other people, I'll fly you somewhere and you'll give me 2 nights to see if fucking you will be as good as I've always imagined.
You want to know what I love so much about this? This is a man that just graduated from college. He's got an internship in DC, but he's like, I'm going to be
well enough to be able
to fly someone out to someplace.
Yep.
For a 2-day fuck.
Well, and that in particular is like
his personality.
In these 2 pages, we get his vibes. She like in that like throwaway line about how between their 2 male roommates, like Lennox would win in a fight. Lennox was probably going to show up with a carefully researched 30-step plan on how to kick ass. Like he is a planner, and this is going to come up multiple times.
Yeah. And it's good. And it works out very much in her favor, as we will see.
Indeed.
So she sees this email and she just responds with, you can't be serious. And his response is immediate with please see attached. And there are airline tickets to
Charlotte Amalie,
which
I didn't look this up.
St. Thomas, right?
Yeah, I think so.
On
St. Thomas, and it is the capital of the U.S. Virgin Islands.
So she responds, I hope you bought refundable tickets. And he asks immediately, again, this is all email, is your number still the same? So they haven't spoken, and we find out 4 years.
Yeah.
The last time that they had seen each other was at his
wedding.
Which is wild. And I was like, 4 years ago, this dude was getting married, and now he's already not married. Crazy. But we do find out that there was some infidelity on his wife's part, and that is why. But he had already kind of done the work to get himself out of that rock bottom feeling of divorce. So like a lot has happened since the last time she saw him.
Yes.
Apparently he had spoken to Aubrey, who is another one of their roommates, and he says, Aubrey told me you were single. And he's like, I've sent you everything you need. I'll see you in St. Thomas in 6 days, or I won't. I hope you come, though, both off that plane and against my tongue.
Damn.
Like, here's the thing.
Tell me what the thing is.
Men use lines like that all the time, often within minutes of
Meeting
talking.
you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Meeting.
Mhm.
So the fact that they've known each other for so long is
Yeah.
not as off-putting
Yes.
as that line would be taken otherwise. And
I
again, I
agree.
guess this comes from the whole, like, wanted advances versus not,
True.
which we've talked about frequently.
Indeed. So, with his words replaying in her mind, she lands in St. Thomas and goes through
Yes.
customs, where the customs officer asks, "What's the purpose of your visit to St. Thomas today? Business or pleasure?" And her mind immediately goes to the gutter.
Yes, as
I
it
love
should.
it.
I did too. So this is where we get the information that the last time she had seen him was at his wedding, and
Mhm.
all of their roommates were his groom's people, which I
Mhm.
loved. It wasn't her conversation with him that was what made her decide to go. Like, it wasn't him just saying basically he wants to make her come, which
Mhm.
is fantastic. Love that that's the priority here. But he did say to her in a message, just so I'm clear, I hope you coming will lead to me having you face down and ass up in the way I've wanted to for years. But I know life doesn't work like that. 12 years is a long ass time, and you're right about the fact we were kids. I might not still do it for you the way I know you still do it for me. Coming isn't locking you into anything other than at minimum catching up.
Mhm.
Love that.
Yes.
This is like the best kind of second chance romance, but like just second chance erotica.
Yes.
It has the ability to be that really I love a second chance romance
Yep.
when it is the like it didn't happen because she got sick and then they moved
Yeah.
away, so it couldn't happen, whatever. They established their own lives and now they've got that second chance. Love this. What I have highlighted next made
Yes.
me laugh, and also I highlighted it thinking like they're in St. Thomas,
Mhm.
which is warm all the time.
Yes.
And this man shows up in gray sweatpants.
He does. That bastard.
Yeah.
He knew. He knows. When
Well,
did we tell the men about the gray sweatpants?
one that popped up all over the internet when women started filming men posting their gray sweatpants on the internet.
We should never have given them this power, is all I'm saying.
Yes, but also they don't all have the power.
No, that's a very good point. It's a very good point.
But we do get the print in those sweatpants showed her that Lennox's thang was thangin'.
Mhm.
It made me laugh.
Yep.
And it was one of those things where like there's certain parts of it like in the review where it's like and he called her mama.
Mhm.
When I first read that, and we'll get to it in a minute, I was like, Elle's going to ask me how I feel about this nickname.
Uh-huh. I
But
am.
and I don't love it. But I think that's also kind of a cultural thing.
Yes. I had the
Like,
exact same thought.
because I was like, I don't like it, but like, it didn't shock me. So I think it's more just I don't know, like, I think it's more
Yeah.
of a cultural term
Yeah.
of endearment because it's not in the bedroom always that he's calling her
Yes.
that.
Yeah. And it's also certainly not maternal.
No, it's just a term of endearment,
Mhm.
which, but not my favorite.
The line that I really liked here was he was solid as fuck with his curls pulled back, honeyed brown skin damp with a light sheen of sweat from the heat, a beard that was giving everything it was supposed to be giving, and lips her pussy wanted to kiss.
I did not like that line.
I've never seen this before, and it's so creative. I fucking love it.
It's very creative. I did not like it in the least. Oh, man. It says Lennox had no business worrying he might not do it for her the way he did in the early 20s. He was doing more, which it's
This is so real though, because like God, men that age well, age well.
100%. 100%. And there are definitely where you're like, oh, I wanted that 15 years ago.
Mhm.
But I still want that.
Mhm.
I forgot about it for a hot second, but no, I'm reminded.
Conversely, there is also, I
Yes.
wanted that 15 years ago, and oh boy, am I glad I don't have it now.
Excellent point.
Whew.
So she goes up to him and he gives her a hug and says, "I'm glad you made it." And she says, Yara licked her lips and removed her shades so there was no misinterpreting the next words she spoke. "I'm happy I decided I wanted to come." Get it.
Get it. Love everything about this. Oh, man. Up to this point, we've basically only seen Yara's perspective, even though it's not in first person. And now we get to see from Lennox's perspective, him like giving himself a pep talk on the way to pick her up from the airport. He remembered kicking himself for a good year after they made the pact for giving Yara such a wide range to choose from. They'd both lived so much life in the thousands of days that passed since he hugged her goodbye at the airport all those years ago and made his proposition. Dated women, broken up with them, fallen in love, gotten married, and experienced the bitter lows of divorce before he climbed out of the pit his ex-wife left him in. This is a man who's experienced the full range of emotion.
Yeah.
And as much as I don't wish the bitter lows of divorce on anyone, like, I do appreciate a man who is experienced in that way.
Who's not emotionally constipated.
Yeah.
As much as we know that you love that also.
I'm a big fan. I'm sure I can fix him.
So he wasn't truly expecting her to agree to come on this trip. But watching her stand outside the airport in a sundress that clung to curves he could only describe as juicy, he was happy as hell she did. So they get into his rental car and she goes, "How does this work?" And he says, "We spend the days catching up. In the evenings, I'll fulfill your pussy's wildest dreams." Which is so funny because, like, they made this pact, sure.
Yeah.
But, like,
the self-assurance is, I think it would be off-putting if we hadn't so successfully set up her desire for him.
yes. But I mean, like, he's made plans and they're doing his plans, which I contradict myself because, like, I love a man that can make a plan.
I do know this about
I don't
you.
want to have to make a plan or make any decisions. So I do love that, but also I feel like I want her to have a little autonomy in this, which she does. I don't know. I'm a walking contradiction. I recognize that about myself.
Well, it says she was very interested in what was being offered and says, "Since when have you had such a nasty mouth?" And he says, "You ain't heard nothing yet. You ain't felt nothing yet either."
Damn. And well, maybe it was just because the Michael B. Jordan was fresh in my mind with that fourth wing thing, but I pictured Michael B. Jordan saying this, driving like one hand on the steering wheel of a Jeep Wrangler, top off, saying that shit to me. And like, he's not who I cast, by the way, but he was fresh in my mind. So like that was right there. And I was like, get it, Yara. So they start talking and just kind of catching up and not like furthering their sexual tension. And he's telling her about like how he's successfully sold a couple of mobile apps and he booked this villa not just for their 2-day like whatever, but to work on a new game that he's wanted to develop. So he like went on a vacation to do some work. And it says the lust sizzling in her blood took back seat for a few minutes as she allowed herself to bask in the pride she felt for him, which shows that like they truly have this wonderful connection where like it's so nice to really be proud of somebody else for like making their dreams come true, you know?
Yes.
And it really shows a true connection with somebody when you can feel that pride for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Lennox had always been the most organized of all her friends, plotting out his life in 10-year increments with the goals he wanted to meet. And he damn well met almost all of them. She chuckled when she remembered her pussy was one of those goals he was about to achieve.
Now, he asks her what's so funny, and she doesn't Doesn't
No.
tell him what she was actually thinking, but instead tells him about the accounting firm that she's been working at, and he teases her that she's got a boring job.
Oh, yes. The life of an accountant.
Uh,
Probably just always fielding those comments because, like, I have a friend who's an accountant and I give her shit for it all the time. It's like she's my maid of honor. She's like my best friend, and she's so boisterous and loud and an accountant.
Which, you can be two things at once.
It's true.
So they get to this villa, which is like a full-ass 2-story house that she was not expecting. But when I hear villa, I'm expecting something big. Like,
Yeah, same. I don't know what.
maybe if I heard like bungalow, I would think it
Sure.
was something smaller and a little cozier. But
Yeah, but a villa on St. Thomas? Yeah, I expect it to be
Yeah.
kind of sprawling.
yes, agreed. So he takes her inside, shows her around a little bit, and then brings her bag into a room and says, "This one is yours." And she kind of looks at him and a little confused. And he
Yeah.
says, "I'm not taking it for granted this weekend will play out the way I want it to. No pressure, remember?" Which
Uh-huh.
is very nice and
Yes.
sweet. And like, despite the fact that this man is a planner and sees things likely in a little bit more of black and white than definitely, 50 Shades of Gray. I don't know. We'll get a little bit of that too. But he also is considering her feelings in all of this.
Yeah.
And that I think is really sweet.
Of course, she thinks that this night would end with Lennox deep enough inside her to touch her kidneys was a foregone conclusion. And she tells him, "To be honest, I can't envision a circumstance where these next 2 nights don't play out the way you want them to."
But again, with the way he wants them to. Like, she wants it too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
like, it's giving him a little bit more power than I want him to have.
Uh-huh. Normally, this is me.
I know. I know.
What's going on here?
I am a walking contradiction. I don't know. It depends
So
on where
this
I think it depends on where I am in my cycle, to
I
be
was
honest
just
with you.
thinking that.
If I'm not ovulating, I want to make my own decisions.
That's fair. That's fair, frankly. So this is the first time we get the nickname. And he says, "Well, get some rest, mama. You'll need it."
Which, like, again, I think that this is just a term of endearment, and it's just like just a cultural thing. I think that's what it comes down to.
I completely agree.
It doesn't work for me, but it's not something that I experience in the day-to-day either. So
Yeah.
there's different things like mamacita, mama, and then the white woman way is like babe.
God. No
Which-
wonder we try to appropriate other cultures. Ours is so fucking cringe.
It's the worst. It's the worst. Yeah. And it's like also using the term daddy in a way that is like, I don't like that, but also I'm guilty of using babe. Like,
You are.
I am. So, like, I don't like daddy, but that again is kind of like daddy, and poppy is another one that
That's
like
a good point. Yeah.
So I think it's just, I don't know.
Is it just that English is really cringe?
No, because daddy's English.
I know, and I find it cringe.
Oh, but poppy, you like poppy better?
Hey, I don't know. It feels less.
Well, it feels like you say it with a little more like oomph to it.
Yeah. I think this
guess.
is just. I think this is like the deep seated cultural appropriation in me, and I probably should calm down fetishizing other cultures.
I mean, yeah.
I think that's what's happening. I'll stay in my lane of like cringy white lady who says babe.
Do you say babe? Do you use that?
No.
Do you use honey?
I mean, I call him my love.
Hey, that's sweet.
Yeah. And that's what he calls me.
You guys are cute. Damn it. I'm really happy for you. I mean, truly I am, and you know that. But also,
I know. But you're so bitter about it also. Oh my God. So he leaves her to freshen up, and he cannot handle seeing her again and is overwhelmed by his horniness. And so he sits down to masturbate.
At one point, he does say, "Beat my meat," and I hate that.
Oh,
I
I
hate
hate
it
that
so
also.
much.
Mm-mm.
No.
But this is a choice because I don't know that any person would
Okay.
knock on the door, not receive a response, and then enter.
Yeah. No, I think that that's fine.
In this, really?
In this economy?
But that's the vibes I'm going for. I don't know. Like in this situation where they're
Well, like,
like
yeah, so
overwhelmed with sexual tension.
maybe he's not. I mean, if she can hear him, like, grunting in there, then okay, fine. But, like, if she just knocks and there's no answer, maybe she just peeks her head in to see if he's actually in there, if she's looking for him, and then she sees
Mm-hmm.
that not only is he in there, but he's, like,
Occupied.
getting down with his bad self, then yeah.
Okay. All right. Sure. Why not? She is flustered when she comes in and sees him touching himself. And she says, I wanted to ask if we could eat a bit early, but it looks like I'm interrupting something. I'll just come back. And then she turns to leave. And then, I mean, I, I will say, the logistics don't really make sense.
Okay. Yeah, there were a couple. I just kind of went with it. There
No,
were,
I also
yeah.
think that you should just kind of go with it. But it is kind of funny that she came far enough inside that then she has multiple steps from the door because it says she stepped inside
Yeah.
and then she turns to leave and she's a few steps from the door before she looks back at him and says, or I could stay. Like she had to come fully into the room several steps.
I mean, maybe her feet just carried her towards.
I guess.
She was dickmatized.
She was dickmatized, very much so. So you know what? I'll give her a pass.
I
So
think that wasn't even what made me question some of the logistics. There were other logistical, like, how we getting that angle there?
Right. I have thought. So she says, or I could stay. And he replies, I promised myself I wouldn't touch you until tonight. And it says, someone else might have made a quip about promises being meant to be broken, but Yara didn't. She knew him too well. She knew how much he loved planning things and following them to the letter.
Which you love that.
I do fucking love that.
I mean, I did not.
Really?
Yes.
Explain.
Because there's got to be some level of spontaneity. Like, you can't say, like, I mean, you can, and he does. And there is some spontaneity in here, I suppose. But, like, he's so rigid in his, like, I won't touch you until tonight that, I don't know, I didn't love it.
Huh.
Because I think for me, it would feel like a rejection, and that's why. And I've got
I see.
some, like, but she knows him well enough to know that that's not what it is.
Yes.
But I would see it as a rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
I
that's
see
like,
that.
that's probably a me issue coming into this. But
Yeah, I think a little bit. Because the thing for me that I really liked about this was, again, reinforcing his character and like how he thinks about things, how he thinks about everything,
Yeah.
not just like life and building apps and selling them, but like how he acts in the bedroom as well. And that she knows him well enough to allow him to be himself.
Yes, I agree.
I like that. I think it solidifies their friendship. It solidifies their relationship. It says these are not just people who like
Lived together, but knew each other really, really well.
yes, exactly. Like they really, really do have a deep understanding of each other. And I think that works really well here.
Okay. I can accept that. She does say, you don't have to. I could just give you some inspiration. And he says, just say you want to see me beat my meat.
I don't
Like, he was real good with the words earlier, and then this, but also this speaks to sometimes when a man has no blood flow to the brain.
Your body can only power one head at a time.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
That's true. So she goes, the 22-year-old me wants to see if she came close to conjuring up what you really look like. And he says, "How'd you do?" She says, "I wasn't ambitious enough," which,
So
so
good.
good. And, like, listen, I don't love to give a man an ego boost all the time, but this
Mhm.
worked.
Mhm. Yep. And she says, "How did you imagine me?" And before he can respond, she pulls her dress off.
She fully strips down.
Yep. And we get a description of her as well. Thick
Mhm.
thighs, wide hips, a small pouch of softness in her abdomen led to full, heavy breasts with hardened, upturned nipples begging for his mouth. We do get a lot of mentions to her areolas.
Yeah.
More than I expected.
Well,
Is this a thing that men are fascinated by?
I mean, it was a woman that wrote this, but also
I know, but
I kind of liked it because in media,
mhm.
be it books or movies or TV shows, like,
Mhm.
even if you are working with a female character that has very large breasts,
Mhm.
typically they have a very tiny areola and nipple, which is
Yeah,
just not the way that all breasts look. So I
true.
think that this is an important ad
Yeah.
because it says that Lennox didn't know until then that large areolas was a hard requirement for him, but the way pre-cum instantly coated the head of his dick said everything that needed to be said. I
Yeah.
think that it gives a little bit of a, I don't know, representation to,
Yeah.
like,
No, this
not
is a good point.
necessarily what you see in books, or because you're right, like, is that something that men
Typically think about, like, I
typically,
don't know.
but maybe, but also it might be because, like, he was surprised,
Yeah. No,
you
you're
know?
right.
So if you're not, I don't know.
I think the other thing that I really appreciated about this story that we haven't talked about yet is that there is no forgetting that these characters are people of color. Like over and over again, we get he groaned when his eyes fixed on her areolas, a bit darker than her chocolate hued breasts and twice the size of any he'd seen before. We get references to her box braids. We get references to locks. Like
Yeah.
she traded out her signature box braids for a wavy weave.
Yeah.
Like, so we get a lot of references to their appearance, and it is unapologetically Black. And
But
I really like that.
I question too, though, if that's just something that we miss
Hmm.
in what we read. Because if you think about it, we frequently and we don't like it when we read it, but like her creamy.
God, all the time.
Right. So that is a reference to, it's not talking about when you see like creamy skin or whatever, it's not talking about the texture of her skin. It's not talking
No.
about how it's smooth or whatever. It is
No, you're
talking
right.
about how white it is.
Yes.
So I
You're
think
very right.
I
But I
think
feel like even when I see
we've been
sorry.
conditioned to ignore it, I think.
Yeah.
Or because it's what we as white women see,
Mhm.
we just kind of don't take notice.
Maybe. I think the other thing too is that I'm so rarely reading modern, like contemporary romance. Like I feel like a lot of the time I'm seeing like women of color in fantasy novels.
Mhm.
Like I don't see references to locks and box braids, which is a very like modern day current culture kind of reference that I think gets wiped away in a lot of fantasy novels, either for like fear of creating an anachronistic kind of like taking the reader out of it, or because like more likely I'm reading too many white women.
I
But
was going
I
to
think you're
say
right.
that. I was going to say, do you think that that is not something because typically in those
Yeah.
romantasy or fantasy novels, it's a white author?
Yeah.
And when it's not something that's part of your day to day, it's not necessarily a detail that you think to include.
No, that's absolutely correct. I'm looking at my bookshelf and I'm like, there aren't enough
Well,
people
and
of
here's
color
the
on it.
thing. Part of that is recognizing that we both have some work to do in
Yes.
broadening our worldview.
Yes.
And the work is never done, and I think that that's an
Mm-mm.
important thing for,
No.
like, for people to like reading a book by a Black author during Black History Month. Like, yeah, it's important and we need to do it, but we need to do it more than just in Black History Month. And I think that that's
Yes.
an important thing that we need to like continue to remind ourselves when we're
Yep.
not being reminded by the media.
Yes. Yep. That's
You
a
know?
very good point.
So she gets on the bed.
Yeah.
She settled herself at the edge of the king-size bed furthest from him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he says, spread your legs. So I guess the way that she was perched on the bed,
Mm-hmm.
when she settled on the edge of the bed, I was thinking she was sitting.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently
Mm-hmm.
she was like kind of kneeling like because he says spread your legs and she obeyed instantly, spreading her legs wide and giving him an unobstructed view of her pretty pink glistening pussy.
So we get a very intense kind of like mutual masturbation scene here. And he is starting to show kind of those light dom vibes. Spread your legs, don't stop until you come, etc. And then once they've both finished, Yara says, so can we have dinner a bit earlier? I was hungry before, but I'm starving now.
Which I love the double entendre there.
Yes.
Let's get dinner over with so we can get on to dessert kind of situation.
Yep.
But also I kind of like the confidence in her of like,
Yes.
I just did that. I'm not going to second guess what I just did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask the question that I came in here to ask because I'm hungry.
Yep.
Which, listen, I like my food, so I can understand that being immediately like, oh, I'm hungry again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
This is fun, but also it's dinner.
I need sustenance.
Yes. I also liked that we flip back to Yara's kind of perspective here, and she goes and showers, and she's thinking about Lennox's dick. And she thinks, should she ride that dick until it was drenched with her satisfaction or simply choke on it? So many orifices, so little time.
Just wild. And also, she's only thinking about 2 orifices, and we will get all 3 at one point.
We will.
Which, I mean, is it considered double penetration if it's with toys? Because I feel like that almost should be a trigger.
Oh, this is a good question. It is technically double penetration. So Lennox continues to be a sex dream made real because the man also can cook.
Yep.
And boy, do we love that.
So he made her seafood pasta. And I kind of like this. She walks into the kitchen and like reaches into one of the pans to like pop a piece of food out and eat it. Like it just reaffirms their comfortability with each other and how like she's not tiptoeing around the kitchen like.
Yes. Yeah, I loved that. There's also some really excellent prose in here. Like
I
this
wonder
line.
If we've got the same thing
Probably.
highlighted.
It says Langston Hughes hadn't given a definitive answer to what happened to a dream deferred, but Yara knew what happened to a fuck deferred.
I had that highlighted also. I loved it.
It's so good. The juxtaposition of like poetry and like a fuck deferred is just so good.
And it says the lust burrowed itself deep down and lay dormant until it reignited like a raging fire and became anticipation scorching in her blood, making her sex wet and aching and filling her with desperation to know how good Lennox could work her over. Like, it's getting you primed and ready for what is about to happen. It was really, really well written.
Yep. And so Lennox says the sun is about to set and the view is even better from the pool. Let's take a swim. He continues, I'll clean up while you change into your swimsuit. And Yara's like, I'm good. And just takes her dress off or takes her shirt off and her leggings. And she's not wearing any underwear.
Right.
He follows her out and catches up to her and says, fuck the sunset. There will be one tomorrow.
I loved
It's
it.
just the way that we've successfully kept like the tension throughout, like despite the fact that they've both already come.
Yeah.
It's so good. Her heart jackhammered so hard against her chest that Yara started feeling her head go light. Lennox kept the fingers of his right hand pressed into her thigh, but trailed light touches up her body with his other hand. The feather-like strokes had Yara arching her back and pressing her head into Lennox's shoulder while trying to swallow the moans in her throat. Like,
Really
so
good. But also, this is another one of those situations where, like, he's got fingers in her before they've even kissed.
That's true.
I don't know. I mean, it's working for her. She thinks it's great,
Yes.
but I feel like,
He's going to have his mouth on her pussy before they've even kissed.
yeah, it's like skipping steps for me.
I agree. But I think that's also kind of like a result of this really being an erotica and not a romance.
That's true.
Because if this were a romance, like, we would have gotten that first kiss. And it would have been like, this is the culmination of 12 years of what ifs. Like, this is, I'd always wondered how his stubble would feel against my face. Kind of like, we would have gotten the first kiss.
Yeah.
And we are not going to get that kind of romanticization.
Well, and
of
when we
the
do
kiss.
get the first kiss, it's filthy.
It is.
It's fantastic.
Yes. But it is erotica and not romance.
So she does say to him, because he's pinching her nipples, she says to him, am I going to need a safe word, Knox? Which I love that she calls him Knox. I think that's I like that nickname, Lennox. He says, you won't, not tonight. Damn. Like it was fantastic. So they go towards the couch. She thinks that he's going to set her down on the couch, but instead he bends her over the back of it.
And lifts one of her legs to spread it wide across it.
Yes. Now, pleasure shot through her like electricity when he licked his way back up her spine, pressing his body hard against hers before sucking her earlobe into his mouth and nipping at it. So he is making this a full sensory experience, and we know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Love it.
He also confirms, I'm going to assume that every part of your juicy as fuck body is on limits unless you tell me otherwise. You telling me otherwise, mama? And she goes, I'm not.
Which this is where it started for me, where I was like, oh, he's doing all of these check-ins consistently throughout.
Yep.
Loved it. Also, it kind of goes back to how, like, trust needs to be a huge part of these types of sexual encounters, and how, like, just doing something like this with a perfect stranger would make the way that it feels very different.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. There is a problem for me in this scene.
Okay. What is it?
So, first, he eats her out. And we get wonderful description of this. I think this works incredibly well. Then he eats her ass.
Is this what you have a problem with?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Having a man eat your ass like rent was due and you were writing the check was where the true flex resided. I don't mind this at all.
Okay.
The problem
that
I have is that after he eats her ass, he returns to her pussy.
I actually, you know what? When I read that, I was like, oh, Elle's going to have something to say about this.
Yes. Do not do this. Do not do this. Do not. Bacteria from your butt does not belong in your vagina.
But also, that's true. Yes, I agree with this. However, there are so many other bacterias in the mouth already. I truly don't think it's as much of an issue. Because
this is no. This is eating out 101. You can't go back and forth. You cannot. Once you go ass, you cannot go back.
So until you brush your teeth or something?
Yes. Rinse your mouth out. Like you cannot mix these bacterias. No, you simply cannot. This is how she gets an infection.
I did not. We haven't talked about infections in quite a while.
Unfortunately, I must return for my regularly scheduled TED Talk.
When he went right back, I did have that brief thought of like, oh, Elle's not going to like this. But the thought came and went.
I mean, I will say that the scene is very well written and you do lose that thought immediately. But I do feel it is important to call out men. You shouldn't. Women. People. No one should be doing this. Vaginas and assholes do not mix.
Question. Would you say this in in response to this same kind of situation happening to a man.
We worried about their urethra?
I mean, yeah.
I'm not as familiar with the urethra.
With how men get a UTI. So, I mean, because that would be part of the issue too, right?
Yeah, but like the problem is both UTI and yeast infection and other kind of bacteria like vaginosis, like all of this can come from having fecal matter transferred to your vagina. I suspect that men probably should also be concerned, but like I'm less familiar. I can't give a TED talk about urethras on a penis. So we might need to contract out for that.
Oh man, I've asked weirder questions to men.
I'm gonna Google. I'm gonna Google.
Nick, where are you?
Should men be worried about UTIs from eating ass and then blowjobs? How do I Google that?
Just like that. That sounds.
Yes. Short answer is yes. Bacteria from the gastrointestinal tract carries a risk of developing a UTI due to the transfer of E. coli. While less common in men than women, this activity can introduce bacteria leading to infections.
That's fair. I mean,
Wash first.
Keep some mouthwash by the bed. Now, I love how these conversations just lead to me thinking of outrageous things and putting them out into the world. Now, if that had happened, and let's say they were drinking, if he had eaten us and then had like a big old gulp of some scotch or something, is that enough alcohol to kill the bacteria?
Yeah.
Okay, that's acceptable if he like has a shot.
If he rinses his mouth out with a shot, I guess. Certainly you would be much safer.
So you'd be more appeased if they were drinking and he had stopped for
introducing
a minute to...
alcohol into a sexual encounter always creates
That's true.
more questions. But from a purely hygienic perspective, yes. If he rinsed his mouth out with liquor, not with
Not
like a
beer,
margarita.
Well, no, because then we've got the sugars and
This is what I'm saying. We're not doing mixed drinks. We're not doing beer because then we're gonna add literal yeast into the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you're really working with you're just feeding more into the possibility of infection. Okay.
This is a very specific regimen that we've created here.
So he does say to her, "Damn, mama, I can't believe I waited 14 years to have you in my mouth. Best believe I'm going to make up for lost time. You're going to go to sleep with my tongue in your pussy and wake up to me sucking your clit." Now, this is where we get...
I don't think I need that.
What?
I like my sleep. I don't know that I want to...
He's not saying that he's going to keep her up all night. They'll sleep, but he's going to wake her up. You would
fall
prefer
asleep
to wake
with a
up.
tongue in my pussy.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's a sensory nightmare.
But I do appreciate being woken up that way. That would be lovely.
That's fair. No, this is fair.
So she goes in for a kiss, and he goes, "Want to taste yourself, huh? Give me a second. Let me re-up on that goodness." So he licks her again, makes her come again, and then comes back up. So she's come now 3 times since she landed in St. Thomas, and they have yet to kiss, which 3 times already in the day, that's fantastic. But
yeah.
So then he does kiss her. Yara closed her eyes, pressing herself into him as she savored the feel of his tongue against hers and the sweet, earthy taste of her essence. I didn't love that.
I generally don't. I feel like I've never particularly loved a description of a post-oral kiss because like there's always some euphemism of like her essence or her taste, and it's always musky or earthy, and I'm just like,
So he does say, "I can't wait to have all of you. I hope you're ready, mama. It's about to be a long night." We do get that they're still in the living room. She's still pretty much bent over this couch, and he pulls a condom from his pocket, which was something that, again, we don't see as frequently in our romance novels.
This is true.
Also, it's funny that he was still wearing clothes this whole time.
Yeah, because she's fully naked. But he does also realize that he's run across his first problem, which is that he wants to see her when he fucks her for the first time.
Yes.
He wanted to see the look on her face when he slid into her. He wanted to see the quiver of her lips as she moaned while he drove into her over and over again. And so he leans forward and kisses her again and says, I want to fuck you on a bed. And so they go to her bedroom. And it's interesting because I feel like we normally would get more description of like the very first insertion. You know what I mean?
Kind of do.
But it's a little bit, I guess. Like,
well, we get it in a way that is almost more realistic to how he's thinking about it.
fair. That's fair.
We're not getting like almost the clinical, like, here's what's happening.
Inch by inch, he slid into her.
Yeah. We're getting, and then heaven. His entire world was technicolor as he slid into Yara. She was as hot as he thought she would be, as slick as he thought she would be, and she wrapped around him like the most sensuous glove. Like, we do get from
you're right.
his perspective. I liked it.
Yeah. Yep. And then he starts touching her clit while he's fucking her, which we love. He fucks her harder.
What I didn't love.
Go on.
Him saying, you like that? It brought it way too much into like real world.
Yeah.
I can appreciate somebody that wants talk, that wants to have like verbal.
She does like it.
She does like it, but he says, come on, baby, I need you to tell me how your pussy is doing.
Yeah.
So then he also says she wants me to fuck her harder, not talking about
Yara.
her, the person, but talking about her pussy. And I did not like that.
I was going to ask because I also do not particularly like that.
No, don't turn it into its own entity.
No.
It is a part of her.
Yes, correct. You should be checking in with her.
Yeah.
You're not asking the pussy.
Yeah, I didn't like that. But again, you like that. I was like, you should be able to tell. You shouldn't have to ask. Like, if you want her to talk to you, fine.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't. No. Nope, I don't like it.
I was also a little caught off guard by the end of this chapter because it's like so the writing is so good and that it's so abruptly male for a second there. He wanted to savor the little pulses deep in her pussy, a telltale sign of her approaching orgasm, the intoxicating mixture of their scent and sweat, and the little expressions on her face that drove him wild. He kept the strokes long and steady until Yara began shaking and screaming and clawing wildly at him. Then he allowed the nut, more than 12 years in the making, to claim him.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. But again, we're getting it from his kind of perspective. So, like, yeah, even a romantic man can be a little bit cavemanish, if you will.
Oh, brutal.
So we get the next morning. And he's making her eggs and bacon, which I love. Again, that he is feeding his woman. And she walks up to him and hugs him from behind, placing a kiss on the center of his back. And she says, you're fucking me good and feeding me well. Keep it up, and I won't want to leave when this weekend's over. And this is our first indication of, like, both of them thinking, like, 2 days is not enough.
Yes.
Because he says, I can't say I'd mind that. His voice had gone all soft and husky, and Yara was overwhelmed by the urge to sit on his face.
Yeah. So they spend the day doing touristy stuff.
Yeah, they go to an aquarium.
They go snorkeling. And then they get back to the villa. They're watching a movie.
Yeah.
Which we get no detail about what movie they're watching because he's fingering her.
Yep.
And then after she comes, he says, I think it's time for us to hit the bedroom. And she goes, soon. Me and my tongue got something to prove.
She's bold and I like it.
Yeah. Yes. So she goes down on him. We get a lot of the sexual encounters from his perspective,
which is unusual.
It is unusual. It's very interesting. Like, we get some ball play, which is like, I feel like not often a focal point in erotica written by women.
Mhm.
And and then I have this line highlighted
Mhm.
for you.
Yep.
Because she takes his dick in her mouth and then straight down her throat, and he thinks the sound of a woman gagging shouldn't be so fucking sexy. But Lennox struggled to stop himself from nutting right there and then.
And now this got cut out from the episode a couple weeks back because we had recorded for so long. But I did ask this question to Nick the Forge Bear.
Yes.
And I was validated in my hypothesis
Yes.
that men typically like it when a woman gags because they're getting a visual representation of their size. Yes.
Yes.
So I was validated in that, and it was a pretty funny conversation, but I had to cut it for time. So
Maybe it'll make its way to socials at some point.
perhaps, yes. So she does say to him, I want you to fuck my throat. Not my favorite.
Me neither. I think the problem that I always have is that, like, one, it's just so not for me, but the throat is not really made for fucking. It's just, it is very, it's more fragile than your vagina is all that I feel. And like, because it's so vital to your continued survival, the idea of fucking it and like the inherent kind of like roughness that entails just makes me very uncomfortable. And I know that that's part of why it's very erotic for some people. Like breath play is similarly kind of like on that edge of dangerous. And this is like an entire brand of kink is like edge play. Like it's just so firmly not for me. And I just every time it's like, I'm gonna fuck your throat so good, I'm gonna fuck your face. And I'm just like,
yeah, I don't like it either.
It's
So
not for me.
After that happens and she makes him come, or I guess he kind of makes himself come because she's just sitting there, mouth open. She's like, now you can take me to bed. And he says, but let me ask you something real quick first. How adventurous are you with sex? And she says, oh, is this where we talk about safe words and such? And he's like, basically, just haven't ever been able to figure you out, whether or not you're into certain things. And she says, I haven't done much more than spanking, light choking, hair pulling, and a little bit of biting. And he says, sounds good to me. And she says, I get the feeling that you've done more.
Yes.
And he just nods, says, yeah. And she's like, more like,
give me something
sir,
here, fella.
Please elaborate. And he says, I'd like to handcuff your legs and hands to the bed while I make you come until you think you'll lose your fucking mind. And she just says, oh.
And he reaches up to her nipples and says, I want to clamp these so I can show you just how sweet the right amount of pain could be.
Which we will get, and we talked about this, I think, with Nick with biting and how like being able to look at your partner and decide like, or not decide, but identify when too much is too much. And where that sweet spot is, he seems to have the appropriate skill set to do that, which is fantastic.
Yes.
This is also where she asks him anything else, and he says so much more, but no more than what you'd happily allow, which is lovely. And she says, potato. And he goes, what? She said, that's the safe word I want to use. Hilarious.
Absolutely hilarious. And then she's thinking to herself of all the things she could come up with. That was what she chose. And she chuckles at her own ridiculousness. Like, none of this is particularly self-conscious.
Right.
Like, and we do get a reference that she'd almost forgotten what she'd chosen as her safe word, which is not
ideal.
Good. Not particularly good. But like, again, what I think that this does is just prove their comfort with each other because like they are ridiculous. This pact is ridiculous. Like they've been friends since they were like unruly late teens, early 20-somethings. This friendship is far reaching to the point of, yeah, she's going to pick a ridiculous safe word and not even feel a little self-conscious about it because this is him and her and they just work.
Right. Which is another one of those, like with the right partner, none of that is going to matter at all. And
You can't
also,
say the wrong thing to the right person.
Yes. Wise words from Elle again. That is one of my favorites, though. You cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. Now, he takes her upstairs to his room, and there is a slew of toys laid out on the bed.
Yep. Including a set of butt plugs. I love this. It leaves me with more questions than answers.
Okay.
It's Swarovski, he said. I saw them and thought they were pretty and fancy. Reminded me of you. Like, we have gotten no indication that she likes sparkly things or that she is fancy. Like, the only real details we've gotten about her life at all is that she's an accountant.
Yeah.
And that she's from Antigua, like, or is implied to be from Antigua because that's where her flight was leaving from like 12 years ago, leaving for. And like, I don't know. I love this so much, but it's so bizarre to me. And also, Swarovski makes butt plugs.
I gotta find out.
That just seems not on brand for them, but also, what do I know?
No, it doesn't seem as those. Oh, well, Sassy Sensations has butt plugs with interchangeable stopper gems in clear and pink in a red case. Stainless steel plug, Swarovski gem, $186. That is, apparently, you can buy them. I don't think Swarovski makes them, but I think people buy the crystals, or companies will buy the crystals for
adornment.
For adornment. Look at that. I mean, does it need to be an actual crystal for it to be the same thing? But some people like a little bit extra oomph.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So she's like, did you buy out a sex store? Like a sex toy store? And she goes, I buy my vibrators from Amazon.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
It is. And he says that he wanted to cover all his bases. I spent a lot of time choosing the items I bought to bring with me. And she says, what if I wasn't interested? And he replies, then we'd already be fucking and you'd be none the wiser that I almost gave the customs officer a coronary when I arrived here.
I love this. I also love that he purchased new toys.
Yes.
To use with a new partner.
Yes.
Because that's important. And then there were at least 2 rabbits, a glass dildo, a rose vibrator, another butt plug, a vibrating wand, and what looked like a vibrating egg. And that wasn't even half of it. She surveyed the handcuffs, nipple clamps with chain, paddle, flogger, blindfold, feather, a large, firm, square pillow, and lots of lube. And she also found what looked like a miniature pizza cutter wheel. But instead of having a smooth edge, there were evenly placed spikes that looked like they could cut skin if someone was invested enough. And she says, what the hell is this for?
Yes.
He says, it's a sensation wheel. So this is a man that knows his way around some toys.
Oh, yes. And we're going to get all of this.
A lot, yeah. He's
almost all of
use
this.
Almost all of them.
I don't think he uses the rabbits, which is a shame. But otherwise, we are going to have insight into most of this. He says, I've been one of your closest friends before I became a man bewitched by your addictive pussy. I say that to say none of the things I fantasized about happening here tonight will ever come at the expense of your safety and pleasure. You can trust me.
Swoon.
Right?
Like, this is the dream.
Yeah, it's great.
To like, she's intrigued, she's interested, but he's saying, I'm never going to push you past the point of you feeling comfortable with any of this. In a way that like her discomfort for something is going to lead to pleasure and whatnot.
Yes.
So, but so good. I also had that highlighted and I'm like, this is 10 out of 10. Loved it.
Yep.
So he starts with blindfolding her.
Mm-hmm.
He does select the nipple clamps, the pleasure feather, which makes me laugh,
Mm-hmm.
flogger, sensation wheel, and blindfold. And he tells
Mm-hmm.
her to sit up and he blindfolds her and then has her lay back down. And then he starts to work on attaching the first nipple clamp.
Yes.
He made sure it was tightened to a point Yara found comfortable before he clamped her left nipple. All of this sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of tests her pain tolerance
Mm-hmm.
slowly at first, doesn't go from 0 to 60. So he pulls on
Mm-hmm.
the chain. She laughs and breathes a little bit like, "Oh, okay." And then
Mm-hmm.
he asks, "Can I pull a little bit more?" There's
Yep.
so much there's the consent all the way through this.
All the way through.
Even with the safe word piece of it, he's
Yep.
asking her not like, "Do you need your safe word?" but, "Is this okay? Can I do a
Yeah.
little more? Is this
Yes.
okay? How about a little more than that?" Like,
Yes. He even like we go through like testing the nipple clamps, and then he grabs the sensation wheel, gives her the heads up that he's about to use it, and she tenses and he says, "Relax for me." And he starts out small and
mhm,
he rolls it lightly. And like every single step of the way, we are checking in. You like that? You like this? Is this okay? I
mhm.
I agree with you. This is fantastic.
And I think that "you like this" or "you like that, huh?" when he's not like he's doing these things that are very erotic.
This is for her comfort,
Right.
not for his validation.
Yes. That's it.
That's
That
the difference.
that is the difference, and I like it so much more in this way.
Yep.
That's an
Yep.
excellent distinguishing factor there.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Something that caught my attention.
Mm,
I am not familiar with nipple clamps.
me neither.
And it interested me that it said he didn't want to leave Yara in the nipple clamps for more than 10 minutes,
Mm,
which I like filed away for later as like, that makes sense. Could cut off blood flow, could be
yeah.
a problem, is something that you'd want to keep an eye on.
Mhm.
Not something I had considered before.
Me neither. And it also shows that he knows and has done the research and has done in practice. Like
Yes.
he is experienced in this.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is another one of those where we're coming in on different playing fields here
Yes.
with their experience levels, which I feel like
Yes.
is not unusual, especially in I don't know, it's not unusual even in the real world.
Yeah, I think that's right. And also like I don't feel how do I describe this? Like the way this is written, it never feels like Yara's like, "Oh, what are you going to do next?" Like,
Yeah.
uh oh no, like I don't know if I'm going to like it. Like she's thinking critically about like what the sensations are going to be like, how she's going to react, and
Mhm.
every single step of the way she's like, "I am ready. I want to try this. I want to try a little more." Like it doesn't ever feel like they're in an unequal power setting
This
despite being in an unequal knowledge
Well, and
setting.
also, I mean, in the power dynamic that they're
Mhm.
finding themselves in, and this is again with the like in a dom sub situation,
Mhm.
the dom may be more dominant, but that does not mean that he holds all the power or she.
Right.
It does not mean that they hold all the power, you know?
Right.
So,
Yes.
like, yes, he is asking her to submit to him and he is asking
Mhm.
her to surrender, as is
Yes.
the so surrender to the sensations and whatnot, but
Mhm.
it does not mean that he is holding any level of power over her. He is
Yes.
just the one
Directing?
administering
Yeah.
the pleasure there, which like it was a very healthy take on a dom sub power scene, if you will.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. It was a good, very, very well written. And
I
also, like,
agree.
just, I don't know. I liked it.
Yep. Yep, I completely agree. I liked this line too of blood wasn't flowing through Yara's veins anymore. It was pure electricity. Her
Hmm.
skin felt like an electrical conduit, and Lennox's touch was lightning personified. Like, it's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good. He puts down a blanket, which I loved. It's so practical. It brings me joy.
A-
She tries to tell him not to, and he's like, no, I'm going to do it anyway.
A thick blanket. So he also has seemingly brought a sex blanket to St. Thomas with him, which, again,
The man is a planner.
love a planner. And she says, there has never been a time in my life when I've looked back on a fuck and said, damn, we should have put a blanket down. We're good. And I, in my head, went, oh, honey.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. So this pillow situation, love this.
Yeah.
Good for the angles.
Yep.
So she lays on her stomach, lower body on the pillow while her upper body is resting on the bed. So we're getting kind of an ass up kind of vibe.
Yep.
And then he says, I'm going to put on the cuffs now. You're going to have to tell me if anything gets uncomfortable. Again, checking in.
Yep. Fantastic.
Love it. So he brings her hands behind her back and puts the cuffs on.
He cuffs her ankles to the bedpost. So he asks her to try to close her legs. She cannot do that because she's been cuffed to the bedpost. And he calls her a good girl. Liked that very much.
Excellent.
Then he says, do you think you can handle the butt plug? And she says, I'll definitely let you know if it becomes an issue. And he reminds her.
He just kind of chuckled. I don't think he meant to remind her. I think it was more just like, yes, I recall. He chuckles and says potato.
But she does, and that's where we get the indication that she forgot that was the word that she had chosen.
Yes.
She was confused for a few seconds before she remembered that was a safe word she chose. Oh, yeah, potato. But again, even in this situation, they can laugh a little bit, and that's so important.
It's so important. Yes. And so we get such a good introduction to ass play. There's a lot of lube. He starts with a single finger. He loosens her up before attempting to introduce a butt plug.
Yep.
And then we're going to see him progressively increase the size of the butt plug. Like, we're not starting with a dick in the ass.
No. Nope.
We're doing this correctly, in the correct order.
He uses a vibrator on her. She comes again.
He puts a dildo in her pussy and then uses the vibrator again.
And then he switches it out for a bigger size. He uses a paddle on her. He tells her to use her words. And then says, soon from now, my dick will be so far down your throat you won't be able to speak.
It's not my favorite, but it works for her.
Yep. She thinks so fucking sexy.
Indeed.
So he has a vibrator in her and the butt plug. And somehow the logistics of this, I wasn't. So she's on her stomach. Essentially her cheek pressed into the bed. That's not an easy angle for him to be getting.
Fuck her mouth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but okay, fine. He says, look at you with all your holes filled up. I was wrong, Yara. You aren't a good girl. You're the best girl.
That was funny.
I love it.
I didn't like it, but I did find it funny.
So he pulls out before he comes and says, it isn't my time yet. And then he goes and he sits in a chair across the room and pulls out his phone.
Yes.
And she's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yes.
And then the vibrations start.
Yes.
And he has, not only is the butt plug vibrating, but the vibrator or the dildo is vibrating.
The dildo in her pussy is also vibrating.
And he is controlling the vibrations from his phone. So she figures out what he is doing. And then he says if her screams were any indication that finale was coming, and Lennox wanted to make sure he was well within the splash zone.
Absolutely incredible.
While all of that is still going on with her, he turns up the power for these vibrations and then latches onto her clit.
Yes, with his mouth.
She screamed gibberish as she soaked his face and the blanket with the evidence of her pleasure. And this is another one which I don't know if this conversation also got cut, our conversation with Nick, where like the concept of a man being able to visually see that evidence of pleasure is is important these days for men with all of the access that we have to porn.
Yeah.
So then he asks her if she's on birth control.
Yes.
And she says yes. And then he asks her if she's been tested recently, which, don't get me wrong, all of that is very important, but he's already had his face down there.
Yes, this is true. This is something we probably should have exchanged before beginning sexual activity. But again, we are pleased that it is mentioned.
And he says that he also got an all clear with his STI screen. He says, "What if I told you I also recently got an all clear?" And she laughs and says, "I'd ask you where you were going with this." And he says, "What if I told you I wanted to come so deep in your pussy that my jizz will meet up with what you swallowed earlier?" Sir, that is not how the digestive system works, but I appreciate your enthusiasm.
Correct. And she says, "I'd ask you why you weren't fucking me already." So she likes it.
Yes.
Fine.
So he comes inside of her. They rest for a few minutes. Then they go take a shower together, which is nice as the aftercare part of it. I can appreciate a shower with someone as long as they're not trying to have sex in it.
Yes, agreed.
And then we get like this whiplash of like
Suddenly it's done.
Yeah. So like the whole 2 nights thing.
Yeah.
Like she had 1 full day there and that's it.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so funny because like, I don't know, like we get some brief references of like, oh, these 2 nights are not going to be enough. Like, but like not enough of that like concern, not enough of like, if this is the only time I'm going to have, like, I don't know, like, I feel like again, if it were a romance, we would get a lot of the same kinds of things that we got with Willing Prey, where it's like, our time's almost up. Like, give me some indication that you also want this to extend beyond this like set time frame that we've kind of given ourselves here.
But at the same time, I kind of appreciate it because it's a little more realistic.
That's true.
So he's driving her back to the airport, and it says there was an elephant in the Jeep all the same. It wasn't a lament on missed opportunity. It was a curiosity about whether this opportunity even scratched the surface of what they wanted to do with each other. So she did want to bring it up. She wanted to bring up that she liked that she woke up in his arms. And so he notices that she's like kind of sitting there all quiet, and it says, you good? She says, just thinking. And he's like, about? So she turns to him and says, pick a number between 1 and 20. And he laughs.
Says 0.
And she goes, that wasn't even an option. And he's like, if you're asking me what I think you're asking me, the number is definitely 0. I don't want to wait another year to be all up in that pussy again. And I definitely don't want just another 2 nights. And she's like, how do we make that work? And he says, 1 step at a time. So, first step is turning the Jeep around and you figuring out how you're going to get an extra couple days of work off. And then the second step, I get you on a flat surface so I can keep showing you why you're the best fucking girl. And then that's the end. That's where.
That's it.
Yeah. So it ended so quickly. What are you going to rate this one?
Honestly, I think I'm going with 4 stars.
Okay.
Like, I loved this one. It did everything that I wanted it to do. It was really, really, really good erotica.
Yeah.
And I think like that coupled with the fact that the characters felt very real, the setting was very fun. Like, everybody loves a good vacation fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Like that, like all of that just like worked together to make this one, not just a fun, quick, sexy read, but like perfect for fucking the dead of winter. Like I escaped for a bit in both like the season and the general hellscape that is the world right now, and was like, oh yeah, like to be on an island in St. Thomas and just like getting my brains fucked out. Like, fuck yeah. This worked for me.
Love that.
I wish it hadn't ended so abruptly. I like a little more romance with my erotica, but it did everything that it was trying to do. And overall, I really enjoyed the ride. How about you?
Also, I'm going to give this one a 4.
Nice.
same things with like the whole I love a pact.
Mm-hmm.
I love a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
I love a vacation. And they were on vacation and they didn't try to fuck on the beach.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
All
Or
of
in the
this works.
pool.
Yeah.
So
Or in the shower.
Or in the shower. So all of these things are fantastic in my book.
Yeah.
The scene that we got with all of the toys was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved that there was, again, there was tenderness with this erotica.
Yes.
Even with the power dynamics and the use of toys and nipple clamps, it was tender, which sounds like a weird comparison to make. But no, I really liked this one. It was a good one for me.
Fantastic. So now I have to ask, if it's not Michael B. Jordan, who did you cast?
So for Yara,
I
went with Keke Palmer.
Okay.
So my choices were a little bit older than what I think they actually are. They're probably like early 30s. I think
12 years out of college.
mid-30s.
Yeah, I would say mid-30s.
So both of my choices are a little older than those mid-30s, but Keke Palmer for Yara. I just love her. I love her. I think that she is absolutely stunning. And she has the confidence piece of it, which I like. And so that's my pick for Yara. For Lennox, I went with Boris Kodjoe.
Okay.
Who I was unfamiliar with before, but this is a very attractive man.
Yes.
He is a German actor and former model, but he's based out of the US.
Okay.
He's in his 50s. He's 52, which but he was in Love and Basketball.
Okay.
He was in Ferdinand.
Okay.
He's a cartoon.
Yeah.
But yes, he in 2002 was named one of 50 most beautiful people in the world. So he was.
I mean, I believe that.
Yeah, this is one very, very attractive man.
I love that.
Yeah, so that was my cast for this one.
I am satisfied with these choices. Good job.
All right, so what are we reading next week?
I'm so excited. Friend of the show, Alex LaBruyère, has a new book coming out as part of what Kay would call a group project.
Yeah.
And her book is called A Gold Medal in Love. And so we are very excited both to read it, and we're going to get a chance to chat with Alex afterwards. So stay tuned at the end of next week's episode for insights from the author herself.
I'm very excited for this one. This is a sapphic hockey romance. So this is it goes along with the Olympics are starting. By the time that this episode is out, they will be almost done, I think.
Oh, God.
Just so sad because I love the Olympics. But this one is the whole set of novellas, or I don't know. I think that they're longer than novellas, but shorter than what would be a traditional novel length. But they are all based on Olympic sports. So that will be a fun read and very timely. And we love Alex. So we are very excited and we kind of got a sneak peek on this one. So we're excited for it.
It's going to be so good.
So have you been reading anything else recently? No.
I mean, I think I mentioned last week that I'm reading Injustice, How Politics and Fear Vanquished America's Justice Department.
Yes, you did mention that.
Yeah, I'm still reading that. It's still horrific. It's one of those things where I'm like reliving that era of like 2020 and then specifically January 6th, 2021, and like thinking about it, especially in the wake of what just happened in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Or what is currently happening in Minneapolis, not just the specific deaths of U.S. citizens, but like the juxtaposition of like what happened with the January 6th rioters breaking into the U.S. Capitol, brandishing weapons, holding AR-15s, and then like the contrast with ICE invading these people's neighborhoods and their homes, and like the response to that then being called violent and justified as justifying murder by saying that these people were trying to harm law enforcement is just abhorrent.
Yeah.
And like this podcast is supposed to be an escape, but that is what I'm reading, and it's even more horrific with the knowledge that like the standard is applied so differently.
Yeah.
Depending on which side of the aisle you're on.
Which, I mean, yes, this podcast is supposed to be an escape, but also we are Americans and we are living through this wild time, and it's important that we make it clear what side of this we are on. And I truly always want to be on the right side of history, and it will be this is one for the books, that's for sure. So though this is an escape for us, I mean, going back to a couple weeks, hold on to both your rage and your whimsy. So we try to live it.
Are you reading anything outside of the?
I downloaded a bunch of new books recently. I haven't started any of them, but I mean, I downloaded Game Changer.
Nice.
So I do want to start from the beginning for that. And also, it is my favorite couple in the series, which might be a hot take because it's not Shane and Ilya's story. I also downloaded Tempest and Tea Leaves, which you read a couple weeks back. So that's on my list of things to read. And then I downloaded Crave by Tracy Wolff. I had seen Is it good? Have you read it?
There was a lot of drama about
Was there?
Crave.
Okay.
Yes. I'm struggling to remember what the drama was. I want to say there were plagiarism accusations.
Oh, no. Okay.
The straight up lawsuit.
Okay. So I should read that one.
Ongoing copyright infringement lawsuit filed by author Lynn Freeman alleges that Tracy Wolff's best-selling Crave series, published by Entangled Publishing, is based on stolen ideas from her unpublished manuscript, Blue Moon Rising.
Interesting. Okay,
yes.
So perhaps I should not.
It's kind of old drama, if I remember correctly. It's like 2 years old. But it looks like the case is headed for a potential jury trial this year. So
interesting.
Yes. A wild I'd forgotten the drama, but yes, there was a lot of it around this particular series.
I don't know why this popped up with and it wasn't the drama, it popped up with a TikTok or an Instagram reel or something, and I was like, oh, well, that looks like an interesting read. And it's I mean, I'm looking for also books that don't have some of the smut, because I had mentioned a couple weeks back that my cousin's daughter shared some of her books with me. So I do like to have recommendations for her that are ones that I know she can read, and that like she's 13. So I don't want to be recommending anything that like she's not there yet, nor should she be, because she is still a child. No. So, interesting. I'll have to look into that.
I do think, though, that you'll probably like it, because my understanding is that it's basically a Twilight kind of clone as well.
Yeah.
So it's I'll be curious if you do end up reading it.
Wow. So the litigation has cost Freeman several $100,000 and the defendants more than $1 million. Interesting. I mean, there has to be something for it to go that far.
I agree. Yeah. This was back before AI.
Right?
Back when you were just straight up like potentially copying people instead of, using generative artificial intelligence.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Well, if you've made it this far, we appreciate you. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends, leave a comment. And we are excited to continue. We are closing in on almost 1 year of What in the Smut podcast. So this
absolutely
is crazy
wild
to us. And we would love to add even more listeners into year 2.
Yes.
with that,
We are at our wits' end.
see you next time.
Was that as good for you as it was for me? You have been listening to the What in the Smut podcast with Elle and Kay.